Deep in the heart of the Virginian woods, just a few miles from the bustling streets of Washington, D.C., lies a facility that doesn't exist on any public map. There are no signs pointing toward it, no mentions of it in local commerce records, and if you happen to wander too close, you won't meet a friendly park ranger. Instead, you'll be met by silent men in tactical gear and sensors so advanced they can pick up a heartbeat from a quarter-mile away. This is the gateway to the black budget, a shadow world where billions of your tax dollars vanish into thin air, fueling technologies that sound like science fiction and operations that even the president isn't always cleared to know. While the average American balances their checkbook and worries about inflation, a parallel economy breathes beneath the surface of the United States government. It is a world of unacknowledged special access programs, USAPs, where the money isn't just hidden, it is systematically erased. We aren't talking about a few $1,000,000 for a secret satellite. We are talking about an estimated $50 to $100 billion every single year, a sum larger than the entire GDP of many nations, flowing into a void. The story of the black budget is not a conspiracy theory. It is a documented historical reality that began in the smoke-filled rooms of the post-WW2 era. It started with the Manhattan Project, the mother of all secret programs. At its peak, the project to build the atomic bomb employed 130,000 people and cost nearly $2 billion, roughly $30 billion today. Yet the Vice President of the United States, Harry Truman, had no idea it existed until FDR passed away. This set a dangerous and exhilarating precedent. The government could successfully hide a massive, world-altering industrial complex right under the nose of the American public. As the Cold War froze the world in a state of perpetual anxiety, the need for invisible money grew. In 1947, the National Security Act was passed, effectively creating the CIA and giving the intelligence community the legal framework to operate in the shadows. But the real magic happened in 1949 with the CIA Act, which allowed the agency to spend money without regard to the provisions of law and regulations relating to the expenditure of government research. This was the birth of the blank check. Imagine a world where you can walk into a bank, take out as much money as you want, and when the auditor asks where it went, you simply say, "It's a secret," and they are legally required to stop asking. This is how the black budget functions. To understand the scale of this, we have to look at the legendary Skunk Works, Lockheed Martin's secret advanced development programs. In the 1950s, while the public was focused on the space race, Kelly Johnson and his team at Skunk Works were building the U-2 spy plane. It was developed in total secrecy in a windowless hangar in Burbank, California. The workers were told to lie to their families. The parts were ordered through shell companies. The funding was funneled through back-channel accounts that bypassed congressional oversight. The U-2 was followed by the SR-31 Blackbird, a plane so fast it could outrun missiles and so secret that its very existence was a myth until it was already dominating the skies. These projects were the success stories of the black budget. They provided a strategic edge that arguably prevented World War III, but they also taught the military-industrial complex a seductive lesson. It is much easier to innovate when you don't have to explain your failures to the taxpayers. But where does the money actually come from? It isn't just a line item in the budget that says secret stuff. It is far more sophisticated. Investigative journalists and whistleblowers have uncovered a technique known as the double book. The Pentagon might request $500 million for spare parts for an existing fleet of fighter jets. In reality, those parts only cost $200 million. The remaining $300 million is reprogrammed into a black program. This happens across thousands of line items, creating a river of untraceable cash. In the late 1980s, a strange thing happened. People in the high deserts of Nevada began seeing lights in the sky that moved in ways no known aircraft could move. They weren't seeing aliens, they were seeing the results of the black budget. This was the era of the F-119 Nighthawk, the stealth fighter. For over a decade, the Air Force denied the plane existed. They flew it only at night. They even created fake crashes with debris from other planes to distract the media if a real test went wrong. When the F-119 was finally revealed to the public in 1988, the world was stunned. It looked like something from another planet. But the most shocking part wasn't the technology, it was the price tag. Each plane cost over $100 million, and the entire program had been funded in total darkness. The rabbit hole goes deeper than just planes. In the mid-90s, a report by the General Accounting Office found that the Pentagon lost track of $2.3 trillion. Yes, trillion with a T. On September 10, 2001, then Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld gave a speech that has since become haunting. He said, according to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions. The very next day, the world changed forever, and the quest to find that missing money was buried under the ruins of the Twin Towers and the subsequent War on Terror.
In the decades following 9/11, the black budget exploded. The global war on terror provided the perfect cover for an unprecedented expansion of surveillance and clandestine operations. The National Security Agency, NSA, began building massive data centers like the one in Bluffdale, Utah, a 1 million-square-foot fortress designed to intercept and store every digital breath taken on the planet. The funding for these facilities doesn't appear on a public ledger. It is hidden behind cryptic labels like selected activities or special programs. But it's not just about what they're building, it's about who is building it. A massive portion of the black budget is funneled directly to private defense contractors like Northrop Grumman, Boeing, and Raytheon. These corporations operate as a shadow government. They have their own security clearances, their own secret facilities, and their own agendas. Because they are private entities, they are not subject to Freedom of Information Act (FOIA) requests. Once the taxpayer money crosses the threshold into a private contractor's black account, it effectively leaves the realm of public accountability forever. There's a human cost to this secrecy. Consider the story of the Area 51 workers in the 1990s. They were getting sick, developing strange skin cancers and respiratory issues. They claimed they were being forced to burn toxic waste, highly classified materials and coatings from stealth aircraft in open pits. When they tried to sue the government, their lawsuit was dismissed, not because they were lying, but because the government claimed that revealing the names of the chemicals they were exposed to would jeopardize national security. The president signed an executive order exempting the site from environmental laws. In the world of the black budget, the mission always supersedes the individual. As we move further into the 21st century, the stakes are rising. We are now seeing the emergence of deep black programs involving artificial intelligence, autonomous drone swarms, and space-based weaponry. The Space Force, the newest branch of the military, is shrouded in a level of budgetary fog that rivals the height of the Cold War. There are whispers of a secret space program known as Solar Warden and directed energy weapons that can strike with the precision of a surgeon from orbit. Are these just legends, or are they the inevitable result of 80 years of unmonitored spending? When you give a group of brilliant, motivated people billions of dollars and tell them they never have to explain what they are doing, they don't just build better radios, they attempt to master the laws of physics. They build things that the rest of us won't see for another 30 years, if we ever see them at all. The black budget represents a fundamental tension in American democracy. On one hand, the need for secrecy is real. In a world of global rivals, showing your hand can be fatal. On the other hand, the very foundation of a republic is the informed consent of the governed. How can the people consent to what they are not allowed to know? How can a government be of the people when its most significant technological and strategic leaps are hidden in a vault? This is only the surface of the shadow.
To truly understand where the money goes, we have to look past the hangars and the satellites. We have to look at the people who operate the system, the gatekeepers. These are the individuals who decide what is black and what is white, and they hold more power than almost any elected official. They are the architects of a silent empire, funded by you, but answerable to no one. As we peel back the layers of this financial enigma, we begin to find traces of operations that defy logic. We find ghost employees who have no names, black sites in countries that officially don't allow U.S. presence, and a web of corporate front companies that would make a mafia don blush. This is a journey into the heart of the American deep state, not as a political slogan, but as a multi-billion-dollar industrial reality. In the silence of the high-altitude deserts of the American Southwest, the ground often trembles with a frequency that doesn't match any known tectonic movement. For the locals living on the edge of the Nevada Test and Training Range, these skyquakes are a part of daily life. They are the acoustic signatures of the black budget's most expensive children. While the public sees a crumbling infrastructure and debates over school funding, beneath the scrubland of the Mojave and the Groom Lake Basin, a technological renaissance is occurring, funded by a river of black money that officially does not exist. To understand how deep this goes, one must understand the concept of the Special Access Program, or SAP. Most government secrets are classified as confidential, secret, or top secret. But the black budget lives in a tier above that. USAPs, Unacknowledged Special Access Programs, are so sensitive that their very existence is denied to everyone except a tiny waived group of lawmakers and military officials. If a senator asks about a USAP, the official response isn't, "I can't tell you." The response is, "I have no knowledge of any such program." It is a legally sanctioned lie. This system of deniable funding reached a fever pitch during the Reagan administration's Star Wars initiative. While the public debated the feasibility of lasers in space, the money was already flowing into a labyrinth of underground facilities. One of the most legendary, yet officially non-existent locations is S4, a facility rumored to be carved into the side of Papoose Mountain. According to whistleblowers who have risked their lives to speak, S4 isn't just a place for building planes, it is a place for reverse engineering. The human element of these programs is perhaps the most chilling. Imagine being a world-class engineer, recruited straight out of a prestigious university. You are offered a salary 3 times the industry standard, but there's a catch. You must sign away your right to speak to your spouse about your work. You will be flown to work in a plane with blacked-out windows. You will be given a pseudonym for all internal communications. You will spend 20 years working on a propulsion system that defies the known laws of aerodynamics. And when you retire, you will be given a pension from a shell company that has no physical address. You are a ghost in the machine. But where is the oversight? In the United States, the Gang of 8, a group of 8 leaders within the U.S. Congress, is supposed to be briefed on all sensitive intelligence matters. However, the black budget has a trap door even for them. Through a process called carve-outs, certain programs are deemed too sensitive even for the congressional leadership. This creates a shadow government composed of career bureaucrats and private contractors who stay in power for decades, while presidents and senators come and go every 4 to 8 years. Let's talk about the missing trillions again, because this is where the historical truth becomes stranger than fiction. In the 1990s, the Department of Defense's Investigator General began noticing that the adjustments made to the Pentagon's books were totaling in the trillions of dollars. These weren't just accounting errors, they were plugged entries. Essentially, the accountants didn't know where the money went, so they just made up a number to make the balance sheet look even. When investigative journalists began pulling this thread, they found a pattern of off-balance sheet entities. These are private corporations founded by former CIA or military officers that receive government contracts for consulting. These companies then use that money to buy hardware, hire mercenaries, or fund research that the government wants to keep off the books. If a government-owned drone crashes in a foreign country, it's an act of war. If a drone owned by a private consulting firm crashes, it's just a corporate accident. This privatization of secrecy is the engine that keeps the black budget running.
Consider the case of the sentient world simulation. Rumors and leaked documents suggest that a portion of the black budget has been directed toward creating a digital mirror of the real world, a computer model so powerful that it can predict social unrest, economic shifts, and the outcome of military conflicts before they happen. To build such a thing requires more computing power than what is publicly known to exist. It requires the kind of money that can only be harvested from a system where no one is looking at the receipts. The technology that emerges from these programs often stays hidden for 30 to 40 years. The stealth technology used in the 1991 Gulf War was actually perfected in the late 1970s. This begs a staggering question. What technology do they have now? If the Blackbird was flying at Mach 3 in the 1960s, what is flying in the upper atmosphere today? There are persistent reports of TR-3B, a triangular craft that supposedly uses mercury plasma to reduce its weight by 89%, allowing it to perform maneuvers that would crush a human pilot. The government denies its existence, yet thousands of witnesses, including military pilots, have seen these black triangles hovering silently over cities. The black budget also funds the continuity of government programs. These are the doomsday plans designed to keep the elite safe in the event of a nuclear war. Massive underground cities like the Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center or the Raven Rock Mountain Complex are kept in a state of 24/7 readiness. These facilities are self-sustaining with their own power plants, water supplies, and even miniature hospitals. The cost of maintaining these underground kingdoms is astronomical, yet it never appears as a line item in the public budget. For the American taxpayer, this creates a profound sense of financial vertigo. You pay your taxes, you see your local bridge falling into disrepair, and yet somewhere in the Virginia wilderness or the Nevada desert, $1 billion is being spent on a cloaking device or a quantum computer that you will never be allowed to see. The secrecy also creates a brain drain. Some of the most brilliant minds in physics and engineering are being pulled into the black world. Their discoveries are not published in scientific journals. They don't win Nobel Prizes. Their breakthroughs in clean energy or advanced medicine are locked in vaults because they are deemed to have dual-use military applications. This means that humanity as a whole is being deprived of potentially life-saving technology in the name of national security. As we look deeper into the 21st century, the black budget is moving into the digital and biological realms. Black funding is now being poured into CRISPR gene editing for enhanced soldiers and AI-driven cyber weapons that can shut down a nation's power grid without firing a single shot. The battlefield is no longer just land, sea, and air. It is the very fabric of our DNA and the code that runs our world. The mystery of the black budget isn't just about where the money goes. It's about what the existence of that money says about the state of our civilization. We live in a world of two truths. There is the truth we see on the evening news, and then there is the truth that exists in the unacknowledged world. One is a world of scarcity and political bickering. The other is a world of infinite resources and godlike technology. But what happens when these two worlds collide? What happens when the black technology becomes so advanced that it can no longer be hidden? We are already seeing the cracks. The recent surge in congressional hearings regarding unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, is a sign that the gatekeepers are losing their grip on the narrative. For the first time in history, high-ranking intelligence officials are coming forward to say, there is a secret, and it's bigger than you think. The story of the black budget is the story of a silent takeover. It is the story of how the quest for security became an excuse for absolute power. It is a story that involves every American,
because every time you look at your paycheck and see those deductions, you are contributing to a world you aren't allowed to visit. We have explored the history, the mechanics, and the technology, but the final piece of the puzzle is the why. Why have we allowed this shadow system to grow so large? And what is the ultimate goal of those who control the black money? To find those answers, we have to look at the global stage and the final frontier. The final layer of the black budget doesn't reside in a bank vault or a desert hangar. It resides in the future. As we move into an era of unprecedented global competition, the shadow economy has shifted its focus toward the ultimate high ground, the human mind and the stars above. This is the era of the deep black transition, where the billions of dollars being siphoned from the public eye are being used to rewrite what it means to be human and what it means to be a sovereign nation. To understand the end game, we have to look at the bio-digital frontier. Recent leaks and forensic accounting of defense spending suggest that a massive portion of untraceable funds is now flowing into cognitive engineering. While the public hears about AI in the context of chatbots, the black budget is perfecting neurostrike capabilities and brain-computer interfaces. The goal is a soldier who can control a swarm of drones with a thought, or a civilian population whose very perceptions of reality can be subtly steered through frequency-based influence. This isn't just science fiction, it is the logical conclusion of a system that has had 80 years to experiment without any ethical or financial oversight.
In the mountains of Colorado and the plains of Nebraska, there are data fusion centers that consume more electricity than small cities. These centers are the nerve endings of the black budget. They aren't just monitoring emails, they are running simulations of the entire planet. Using black AI, they perform millions of what-if scenarios every second, predicting bread riots in the Middle East, currency collapses in Asia, or the rise of a new political movement in the American heartland. The black budget has bought the power of prophecy, and that power is held by a few unelected individuals who believe they are the only ones capable of steering the ship of state. But perhaps the most profound revelation lies in the concept of breakaway civilizations. Some historians and economists who have studied the black budget suggest that the technological gap between the black world and the white world, the public world, is now so vast, perhaps 50 to 100 years, that the individuals within the secret programs effectively live in a different civilization. They have access to energy sources that make oil obsolete, medical treatments that can extend life by decades, and transportation that makes the jet engine look like a steam whistle. Why hasn't this technology been released? The answer is as cold as the vacuum of space: control. If the black budget released a zero-point energy device tomorrow, the global economy based on oil, gas, and centralized power would collapse overnight. The power structures that the black budget was built to protect would vanish, and so the technology stays in the dark, used only to maintain the status quo and ensure that the gatekeepers remain at the top of the food chain. This brings us to the most controversial aspect of the hidden billions, the secret space program. For decades, astronomers and satellite trackers have spotted objects in orbit that shouldn't be there. We are talking about massive, non-terrestrial structures and shuttlecraft that don't match any known NASA or SpaceX launch profile. If you follow the money, you find that the Space Force is just the public-facing tip of a very large, very dark iceberg. Beneath it lies a multi-decade effort to establish a permanent presence in the solar system. While we argue about the cost of a trip to the moon, the black budget may have already funded the construction of bases on the lunar far side or the Martian plains, hidden under the guise of national security. The human toll of this final stage is a profound sense of ontological shock.
As whistleblowers from within the intelligence community, men like David Grush and others, begin to testify before Congress, the American public is being forced to confront a terrifying reality. We are realizing that for nearly a century, we have been living in a curated reality. We have been told that we are at the pinnacle of technology, while the real technology has been hidden away, fueled by our own hard-earned money. The missing trillions are no longer just a bookkeeping error. They are the ransom paid for a future we weren't invited to. Every time a new advanced program is revealed, we see a glimpse of what could have been. We see a world where energy is free, where disease is a memory, and where the stars are within reach. But we also see a world where that power is used as a weapon, where surveillance is total, and where the individual is an ant under the magnifying glass of the state. As we conclude this journey into the heart of the black budget, we are left with a choice. The system relies on its invisibility. It thrives on the idea that the average person is too busy, too tired, or too distracted to look at the ledger. But the sheer scale of the spending has become so large that it is starting to warp the fabric of our society. You can only hide a mountain for so long before people notice the shadow it casts. The story of the black budget is a call to awareness. It is a reminder that in a true democracy, there can be no unacknowledged programs. Information is the currency of freedom, and when that information is hoarded, freedom becomes an illusion. The billions of dollars that disappear every year aren't just numbers on a screen. They are the bricks and mortar of a secret world that is being built right beneath our feet. The next time you see a strange light in the night sky or read about a $1 trillion accounting adjustment at the Pentagon, don't just look away. Remember the skunk works, remember the underground cities, and remember the gatekeepers. The black budget is the greatest magic trick in human history, but the audience is finally starting to see the wires. The question is, now that we know the trick, what are we going to do with the magicians? The vault is open, the trail of money is warm, and the truth is no longer top secret. It's just waiting for enough people to demand to see the books. The shadow empire was built with your money. Perhaps it's time to find out what you've actually bought.